This was how I learned the truth. At my friend's mother's retirement brunch, my husband and the waitress vanished. I saw them. My husband, Jared, and that young waitress, Mallory. A 20-year age gap, a stolen glance, and an envelope. Vanished. Could you ever truly forgive a betrayal like that? A betrayal that ripped through everything you thought you knew? The retirement brunch for Carol, my friend Sarah's mom, was in full swing. A sunny May morning in Raleigh, North Carolina, 2025. Hydrangeas bloomed, mimosas flowed, and everyone was celebrating Carol's 30 years at the library. Jared, ever the charmer, was working the room, shaking hands, telling jokes. He's always been good at that, at making people feel comfortable. That's part of why I loved him, I guess. Loved. Past tense feels so final. I was chatting with Sarah's Aunt Mildred about her prize-winning begonias when I saw it. Jared near the dessert table, talking to Mallory. She was pretty, with that effortless sun-kissed look that only the young seem to possess. He handed her something, a white envelope, the kind we'd been collecting cards and cash gifts in for Carol. My heart did a little skip, a tiny tremor of unease. I told myself I was being ridiculous. Jared was just being helpful. He always volunteered to collect things, but something didn't feel right. The way Mallory looked at him, a quick, almost conspiratorial glance. The way he touched her arm, a touch that lingered just a beat too long. My stomach clenched. I excused myself from Aunt Mildred's begonia lecture and made my way over to the dessert table, casually, like I just wanted another slice of lemon cake. As I got closer, I realized the envelope was definitely from our collection, and it looked thinner. "Everything okay?" I asked, my voice a little too high-pitched. Jared jumped, startled. "Oh, hey, just giving Mallory a tip. She's been working so hard." "A tip?" I repeated, my eyebrows raised. "We already tipped the staff. Sarah took care of it," he stammered. Right. This was extra, for exceptional service." He gave Mallory a nervous smile. Mallory didn't meet my gaze. She mumbled something about needing to clear tables and practically ran away. Jared busied himself with the cake display, avoiding my eyes. The envelope was gone. Later, after Carol's heartfelt speech and a slideshow of baby pictures that went on way too long, I noticed Mallory wasn't around. I hadn't seen her since the cake incident, and Jared was acting strange, jumpy, checking his watch every 5 minutes. "Where are you going?" I asked as he stood up, grabbing his jacket. "Just need to make a quick phone call," he said, avoiding my eyes. "Be right back." He didn't come right back. 10 minutes passed. 15. I started to feel that familiar dread creeping up my spine. The one that whispers, "Something is terribly wrong." I decided to follow him. What would you have done? Ignored the nagging feeling? Pretended everything was fine? I couldn't. I had to know. I slipped out of the banquet room and into the hallway. I spotted him near the back exit, talking to Mallory. Her back was to me, but I could see Jared's face. He was agitated, his voice low and urgent. I crept closer, hiding behind a potted fern. I couldn't make out the words, but the tone was unmistakable. This wasn't a friendly chat. This was something else. Then I saw him hand her something else. A wad of cash, much larger than any reasonable tip. My breath hitched. They disappeared out the back door. I waited a beat, my heart pounding, and then followed. The parking lot was nearly empty. The sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows. I scanned the area, my eyes searching for any sign of them. Then I saw Jared's car, a silver sedan, pulling out of a far parking spot. Mallory was in the passenger seat. I stood there, frozen, watching them drive away. The weight of betrayal crashed down on me. It wasn't just a stolen tip. It was something much bigger, something darker. I went back inside, numb. The party was winding down. People were saying their goodbyes. I forced a smile, made small talk, pretended everything was normal. But inside, my world was crumbling. Later that night, after we got home, I confronted him. "Where were you?" I asked, my voice shaking. He mumbled something about a business call, a last-minute deal. "Don't lie to me, Jared," I said, my voice rising. "I saw you with Mallory in the parking lot." He paled. He tried to deny it, to deflect, to tell me I was imagining things. But I wouldn't let him. I told him I saw him give her money. He admitted he'd given her some cash, but he claimed it was just a loan. She was having financial problems, he said. He was just trying to help. I didn't believe him. Not for a second. "How much?" I asked. "How much did you give her?" He hesitated. "A couple $100, he mumbled. "A couple $100, I repeated, incredulous. "That was more like 1,000. I saw it." It was $11,920 in retirement party gifts and a few other bills he had on him. But he swore it was just a loan. He was going to get it back. But I knew, deep down, that it wasn't just a loan. It was something else. Something illegal. Something that could destroy us both. I had been working hard as a bookkeeper with several clients of my own. I couldn't believe he'd been doing this under my roof. The reek. I waited for her shift to start and confronted her outside. She looked surprised, then defiant. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice cold. "I want to know what's going on between you and my husband," I said. She scoffed. "Nothing's going on. He's just being nice." "Nice?" I repeated. "Is that what you call giving you thousands of dollars?" She didn't answer. "Tell me the truth," I said, my voice pleading. "Please, I need to know." Not just loans. Gifts. "For services rendered," she said, with a smirk. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. "What kind of services?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She just laughed, a cruel, mocking laugh. I walked away defeated. I knew then that it was over. My marriage, my trust, everything, but the money. Where did all that money come from? Our savings, his secret stash. I had to know. I started digging. I went through our bank statements, our credit card bills, our tax returns. I spent hours poring over financial records, searching for any clue, any explanation. And then I found it. A series of suspicious withdrawals from our joint account. Large sums of money taken out over the past 6 months. Money that Jared claimed he needed for business expenses. But there was something else. Something even more disturbing. I found a file on his computer labeled payroll. It contained fake pay slips for Mallory, showing her earning significantly more than she actually did. He was laundering money, using her as a front. The realization hit me like a ton of bricks. He wasn't just having an affair. He was committing fraud, and he was dragging me down with him. I didn't know what to do. Should I turn him in? Protect myself? Could I live with myself if I protected him? What was I going to tell my family? I started sleeping in the spare room. I couldn't stand to be near him. The thought of his touch made me sick. One evening, I came home from work to find a letter in our mailbox. It wasn't addressed to anyone specific, just resident. Inside was a single sheet of paper with a typed message. "Mind your own business, or you'll regret it," I gasped, my hands trembling. Was this a threat? Was Jared involved? Or was Mallory? I called the police. They took the letter, asked some questions, but didn't seem particularly concerned. They said it could just be a prank. But I knew it wasn't a prank. It was a warning. Someone wanted me to stay quiet. Someone didn't want me digging into Jared's affairs. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept replaying the events of the past few weeks in my mind. The stolen tip, the secret meetings, the missing money, the fake pay slips, the threatening letter. It all added up to one thing. Jared was in deep trouble, and so was I. I decided to confront him again. I waited until he was home from work, sitting in his favorite armchair, watching television. "I know about the pay slips, Jared," I said, my voice cold and steady. "I know you're laundering money." He didn't say anything. He just stared at the television, his face pale. "Who's threatening me?" I asked. "Who sent that letter?" "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me, Jared," I said, my voice rising. Tell me the truth, please." He stood up, his eyes filled with anger. "You want the truth? Fine. The truth is, I needed the money. I made some bad investments. I was trying to fix things." "By committing fraud?" I asked, incredulous. "By dragging me into this mess?" He didn't answer. "I'm going to the police," I said. His face turned white. "Don't do that. You'll ruin us both." "You already ruined us," I shouted. I turned to leave, but he grabbed my arm. "Please," he said, his voice pleading. "Don't do this. I'll pay it back. I promise. Just give me some time." I looked into his eyes. I saw fear, desperation, but I didn't see remorse. I pulled away from him and walked out the door. I went straight to the police station. I told them everything. About the stolen tip, the secret meetings, the missing money, the fake pay slips, the threatening letter. They listened patiently, taking notes. They said they would investigate. The police interviewed Jared. They interviewed Mallory. They searched our house. They seized his computer. Jared was arrested. He was charged with fraud, embezzlement, and money laundering. Mallory was questioned, but released. She claimed she didn't know the money was stolen. She said she thought Jared was just being generous. The trial was a media circus. The local news stations camped outside our house. Reporters hounded me for interviews. My friends and family turned against me. They said I was destroying Jared's life. They said I should have stayed silent. But I couldn't. I had to do what was right, even if it meant losing everything. During the trial, it came out that Jared had been gambling heavily. He'd lost a lot of money. That's why he needed the cash. It also came out that Mallory was involved. She knew the money was stolen. She helped Jared launder it. She received a reduced sentence for cooperating with the prosecution. Jared was found guilty. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison. The divorce was messy. He fought me for everything. Our house, our savings, our future. I lost a lot. I lost my husband, my friends, my reputation. But I also gained something. I gained my freedom, my integrity, my self-respect. After the trial, I moved away. I started over. I found a new job, made new friends, built a new life. It wasn't easy, but I did it. I survived. Years later, I received a letter from Jared. He was out of prison. He was working at a car wash. He said he was sorry. He said he understood why I did what I did. He said he hoped I could forgive him someday. Could I forgive him? I don't know. Maybe someday, but not today. I've come to realize that sometimes the hardest thing to do is the right thing to do. I chose justice over loyalty, honesty over silence. It was painful, destructive. The brunch in Raleigh. How could one event shatter my life? Who's tipping who? It turned my world upside down. What would you have chosen? Could you have lived with the lie? Could you have turned a blind eye to the crime? Write what you would choose. And so, I rebuilt my life. Slowly, painstakingly, piece by piece. I learned to trust again, to love again, to hope again. It wasn't the life I had planned, but it was mine. And in the end, that's all that mattered. Now I run my own financial consulting firm, helping others avoid the pitfalls that swallowed my marriage. So like this story, subscribe to hear more, and let me know in the comments what you would have done. Your thoughts matter. I started volunteering at a local women's shelter, offering free financial literacy workshops. It was my way of paying it forward, of using my experience to help others avoid becoming victims of financial abuse. It felt good, purposeful. The house felt empty, though. So many memories echoed in the halls. I considered selling it, but every time I thought about packing up, I froze. It was where we'd built our life, where we'd celebrated birthdays and holidays. It felt like surrendering a part of myself. One afternoon, while sorting through old photo albums, I found a picture of Jared and me on our wedding day. We looked so young, so happy, so in love. I couldn't believe that the man in that picture was the same man who had betrayed me so deeply. I stared at the photo for a long time, tears streaming down my face. How could someone change so much? What had gone wrong? I felt a pang of something that resembled pity. It was fleeting, quickly replaced by the familiar anger and resentment. But it was there, nonetheless, a tiny flicker of understanding. I wondered what his life was like now, working at the car wash. Did he ever think about me? Did he regret what he'd done? I doubted it. He was always so good at justifying his actions, at blaming others for his mistakes. I closed the photo album and put it away. I didn't want to dwell on the past. I needed to focus on the future, on my future. A few months later, I received an unexpected visit from Sarah. She hadn't spoken to me since the trial. She blamed me for ruining her family, for causing her mother so much pain. I was surprised to see her standing on my doorstep. She looked tired, worn down. "Can I come in?" she asked, her voice hesitant. I hesitated. Part of me wanted to slam the door in her face, but I knew I couldn't. She was still my friend, despite everything. "Sure," I said, stepping aside. We sat in the living room, the silence thick with unspoken words. "I wanted to apologize," she said, her voice cracking. "I was wrong, about everything. I was so angry, so blinded by loyalty to my family. I didn't see the truth." "What truth?" I asked, my voice guarded. "That Jared was wrong, that he hurt you, that he betrayed your trust." She started to cry. "Mom's been so different since all this happened. She doesn't trust anyone. She's always worried about money. It's like he stole more than just your savings. He stole her peace of mind." I didn't say anything. I just listened. "I'm sorry," she said again. "I'm so sorry for everything." I reached out and took her hand. "It's okay," I said. "I understand." We sat there for a while, just holding hands, two friends reconnecting after a long, painful separation. Before she left, she said, "I heard he got out." I nodded. "Yeah, I got a letter." "Are you scared?" she asked. I thought about it for a moment. "No," I said. "I'm not scared. I'm cautious. But I'm not going to let him control my life anymore." I haven't heard from her since, but what would you do? Cut all ties or reconnect? What were you going to do if you saw him? Time passed. I focused on my work, my volunteering, my new friends. I started dating again, cautiously. It was strange, navigating the world of online dating after being married for so long. But it was also exciting. I met some interesting people, some genuine people. But I was still guarded, still hesitant to fully open my heart. One evening, I went to a concert with a friend. It was a local band, playing at a small venue downtown. The music was good, the atmosphere was lively. I was actually enjoying myself. Until I saw him. Jared. He was standing near the back of the room, talking to a woman. I froze. My heart started pounding. He looked different, older, thinner. His eyes met mine, and he recognized me. He stiffened. For a moment, we just stared at each other across the crowded room. Then he turned and walked away. I watched him go, my mind racing. What was he doing here? Was he following me? Was he planning something? I told my friend I wasn't feeling well and went home. I locked all the doors and windows. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. I told them I'd seen Jared. I told them I was afraid. They said they would keep an eye on him, but they couldn't do anything unless he broke the law. That night, I had a nightmare. I dreamt that Jared was standing over me, holding a knife. I woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. I couldn't go back to sleep. I spent the rest of the night sitting in the living room, watching the shadows dance on the walls. I hired a private investigator. I wanted to know what Jared was doing. I wanted to know if he was a threat. The investigator started following him. He learned that Jared was living in a small apartment across town. He was working at the car wash, just like he said. He was also attending Gamblers Anonymous meetings. He seemed to be trying to turn his life around. The investigator also discovered that Jared was still in contact with Mallory. They were meeting for coffee a few times a week. I felt a wave of anger and jealousy wash over me. After everything he'd done, he was still seeing her. Why? What was the hold she had on him? I decided to confront Mallory. I tracked her down to a different restaurant, a diner outside the city. She worked as a waitress now, but she looked even more worn down than the last time I had seen her. She was even younger. I waited for her to finish her shift and then approached her in the parking lot. "Mallory?" I asked. She turned around, startled. Her eyes widened when she saw me. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice defensive. "I want to know why you're still seeing Jared," I said. She hesitated. "It's complicated," she mumbled. "Complicated?" I repeated, incredulous. "He ruined my life. He used you to launder money. How can you still be involved with him?" She shrugged. "He's changed," she said. "He's trying to be a better person." "And you believe him?" I asked. She didn't answer. "What is that he has over you?" I asked. "What does he give you in exchange of this ridiculous loyalty?" She said he gives her money when she needs it. "It has always been that way. It wasn't about love." "What am I to do?" I asked. "What would you do?" "Give up? Let it go." "I can't let it go." She manipulated me. The investigator found one of Jared's old friends from work. He got a lot of information from him and discovered there were a number of women who had been lending him money so that he could gamble. I began to feel sorry for him, but he stole so much money from so many people. I was torn between feeling bad and just wanting him to go to jail forever, so he couldn't hurt anybody else. What do I do? I had to decide. Did I turn this new information over to the authorities? Or did I try to confront Jared directly? The thought of facing him again filled me with dread. But I knew I couldn't let him continue hurting people. I decided to call his parole officer. I explained what I'd learned about the other women, about his continued contact with Mallory. The parole officer thanked me for the information and said he would look into it. A week later, I received a call from the parole officer. He said he'd interviewed Jared and Mallory. They both denied any wrongdoing. He didn't have enough evidence to violate Jared's parole, but he warned him to stay away from Mallory and to stop borrowing money from people. I was frustrated. It wasn't enough. Jared was still getting away with it. I felt a surge of anger. I needed to do something more, something drastic. I decided to go public with my story. I contacted a local newspaper and agreed to an interview. I told them everything from the stolen tip at Carol's retirement brunch to the fake payslips to the gambling addiction. I held nothing back.